Well, Sean Lane here with PWE Report, and we have one last interview before 2024. Of course, we've got pro wrestling referee, and he's also official of GCW, veteran official, senior official Adam Gault to PWE Report. And make sure to check out his matches. He'll be officiating at the Nick Gage Invitational 8, GCW Aftermath, happening this weekend at the Showboat in Atlantic City. I believe that's the 30th and 31st.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes.
Yep,
And
correct.
you're going to ring it in the new year as well. So that's got to be a blast.
Yeah, but I think our fourth year in a row, I want to say at least 3 years in a row of ringing in the new year in Atlantic City with GCW. So it'll be exciting.
Definitely. And of course, you're going to have Non Compadre January 12th. GCW returns to Chicago,
Yep.
Thalia Hall in Pilsen neighborhood. So, and we also know you're an official for Jersey Championship Wrestling. Any other promotions you want to tell us you're part of as well? And we've also seen you at Freelance Wrestling early this year.
Yeah, I did get to work with Freelance earlier this year, which was exciting during Labor Day weekend. First time I worked with Freelance, and that was a lot of fun. And I was happy I was able to do that while I was in the Chicago area. Yeah, I work obviously with our with GCW's sister promotion, Jersey Championship Wrestling, which will be also having a show on Sunday afternoon, which is free on YouTube. And some of these Jersey Championship Wrestling shows are they're really great, and the fact that they're free on YouTube is such a bargain. And then I've worked with MLW, worked with New Japan when they're here in the States for Strong, and then several other independents in the area. But most recently with GCW's schedule and them bringing me onto the road full time. If it's not there, I try to fit some other things where I can, but it's mainly been that and then other opportunities that arise. So been fortunate. It's been a really good year. Got to do a lot of really cool things.
Mhm.
And yeah, but looking forward to a big weekend to close out 2023. And thanks for having me, Sean. I appreciate you
Oh,
asking me to be
I'm
on the
glad to
show. And
finally have you on. Yeah.
yeah,
And, we love GCW in Chicago. Of course, nationwide, you guys are just growing. But, talk about professional wrestling in general. How do you felt you started off in pro wrestling? How has it changed your life for the better since you first started off?
yeah. So, I mean, it's, it's hard to believe. I guess in the last couple months, I probably hit my 10-year anniversary, which I don't think a whole lot about just because I don't want to say I wasn't fully committed to refereeing for the first 5 years or so. It was just that I was doing other things in my life, and I refed when I could at my school. And it wasn't really, I didn't really recognize the opportunities that it could present to me. And I don't think I was in a position to really take advantage of those opportunities at the time. Just given where my head was and what I really knew. But no, I think in the last, since 2017 when I really started to take outside bookings, and since 2019 being with GCW, I think there's just been, in terms of changing my life for the better, I think the opportunities to the connections you make, the friendships you make, which I think independent wrestling harbinger is a little bit more of that friendship, which is appreciated, especially among referees. Because while referees, there's still competition among referees. Don't get me wrong. I do feel like there's more of a brotherhood, sisterhood feeling because everybody wants other referees to be doing just as well and be as
Sure.
prepared in the ring. And because when there's better referees on the independents, there's better independent wrestling. It's better for the product when you have more referees out there that know what they're doing and taking it seriously and understand the role in their proper form. But just to kind of answer your question a little bit more directly, I was kind of ranting there for a sec. In terms of helping my life better, yeah, I mean, a lot of friendships. But I think most recently this last year, being able to travel as much as I have, it's been great. I wanted to travel more. I remember right before the pandemic started, it was one of my priorities, whether it was through wrestling or just on my own. I wanted to start to travel more, and I felt like I didn't really do a lot of traveling in my 20s.
Sure.
Didn't leave Philadelphia too often, so it's really been amazing to say that I've been able to be in a lot of different states and cities across the country. This year I was able to say I could ref in all of North America between Canada and Mexico, and then obviously going to Japan in October was really cool. So just and then being on the road with MLJ and the other referees and the crew. You create a lot of memories, a lot of laughs, a lot of good times, and you're living in the moment. You're making the towns, you're doing it, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm very grateful for it, and just look forward to keep it going. So.
For sure. Yeah, we're excited to see you back in Chicago, of course, for GCW.
Yes, I love Chicago.
Yeah.
Love Chicago. It's one of my favorite cities, wrestling or not. I love Chicago, and yeah, we're looking forward to coming back to Thalia Hall. It's a loaded card, really loaded card. Like really excited about a lot of those matches, and yeah, so definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, Perch, I believe, was the official for that main event, and it was a controversial outcome because Blake Christian was overturned. You saw that Blake Christian's foot was on the rope. So talk about
Yeah,
coming out to the hostile crowd in Chicago.
yeah, no,
What's it
it's
like to
tough.
deal with
Listen,
that?
it's no secret. I'm not a huge fan of Blake Christian, who is, but he is our champion, and we do have to keep the integrity of the championship upheld. So it wasn't a popular decision, but it was the right decision, and it was tough, to see that and do that for Gringo Loco, but we had to make sure that the right decision happened. And yeah, Perch had that main event, who I would trust just as much with any match. Who he's a great official and great human being, but we all miss things happen, so we have
Sure.
to keep the integrity of the championship upheld to the best that we can. So
Yeah, we got a preview of what a Gringo Loco championship win would feel like.
yeah, quick preview. Yeah, bummer of a moment, but as a referee, you get to sometimes make the have that feeling of when the crowd's very much happy that you counted to three,
Yeah.
and raising that hand of the people they like, and then you also have the unpopular decisions that you sometimes have to make, which has been many times over now through this Blake Christian run. There's been a lot of times where, personally, I'm a little disappointed, but I still have to call
Yeah.
it right down the middle.
For sure. Not a guy that really endears himself to any of the crew at GCW or the fans.
No.
Um, can you tell us what's a day like in GCW from beginning to end? Because you do more than just officiating, right? A match.
Yeah.
You have your hands in different things, right?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of different things. That's a really great question. Yeah, really great question. Thank you. So, yeah, so I think a typical show day, there's a matter of like when you're on the road or not. So I think there's a bit of a difference with that. Typically when we're in Los Angeles and Atlantic City, like our two, I would say, main homes or hubs, we usually have a lot more help, which is nice. Just because I think we have, more of our people around and they're able to help out,
Right.
which is appreciated. But I think a typical show day, you're getting up, usually making sure that we have everything we need for the show, which will be,
Mhm.
as silly as it sounds, Sharpies for, signing the posters. Make sure we have the posters, make sure we have sticky notes for the seating, if we're handling the seating and the venue isn't. Making sure we have all those type of things ready to go for the day. Making sure we have the merch. Usually I help with transportation of the merch, whether
Nice.
it's getting it on an airplane or throwing it in my car. So I usually help with whether it's all the merch, maybe sometimes if it's a total road trip, if it's one or two suitcases, kind of making sure that we have all those things together. And then it's getting to the venue, hours before usually everyone else has to. Fortunately, I mean, I don't really, referees usually do a lot more with ring crew, but the way Brett works it out, it usually we use the local crew and kind of able to do that. So I'll touch base with whoever's running the ring crew, make sure that we have everything we need in terms of ring bell, feel out the ring. Perch is also a great help with that. He's always good with kind of can delegate to him with some of the ring stuff. Then typically just seeing what's needed throughout those hours as the show's getting kind of put together, write out the card, divvy out what needs to be known to the different wrestlers. um you know Communicating is key there. Then we'll take care of the seating, usually put out the seats and write out all the post-it notes, which takes a while, and I like to take my time with that. And I usually write out the post-it notes if we're on the road, like maybe LA, like I said, LA or Atlantic City, we usually get some help with
Right.
that, but otherwise it's usually that. And then Perch and Scarlett and whoever else may be around can help put those out for me, as I can divvy them out, and then we make sure all the seating and everything's kind of ready to go and all right. and then those are kind of the biggest things. And then we help with making sure the wrestlers sign the posters in the back. We have promotional posters that they autograph for every show that are available on gcwmerch.com. So a little plug there. So any
Nice.
fans that are listening, any show you can imagine that we've had, we have some autographs there, posters, and the posters are pretty cool. So we make sure that's getting done, and then there's like the intangibles, right? Like just I'm kind of Brett's communication throughout the show, and fortunately we have walkie talkies and communication through that. So whether it's you're acting as extra security for Maki Ito's entrance, or you're making sure that a certain a match that we maybe have to get some extra help with because it's a little bit of a crazier match, some type of angle that might be going down that we need to relay more information. So you're kind of on the go, and kind of once the show hits, I don't kind of really stop until we know we're done, because there's always a lot going on. And fortunately, we have really, like I said, a really great team of referees and just helpers in general. Like our GCW crew and team as a whole, like we have really great people that really do a lot of great stuff. From like, I don't want to name too many people because I know I'll miss people, and there's also different people in every city. But there's tremendous people that just do a ton for what we have to take care of and pull off in all these different places. So that's kind of the typical show day. So it's up early, like you're like up moving around 10 a.m. between noon, like, and usually not finishing up till like 11 midnight. And then by the time you get something to eat and get to the hotel, and like you still have to come down from the show. So like it's a long day, but it's fun. It's I can be a little I can be a little uptight sometimes while the show's happening. We're building up. That's just kind of how I operate. But once it's all said and done, I take a deep breath and I'm like, that was a lot of fun, and that's why I do this. And it's great to put on a great show, and then the crowd's always tremendous in that way and helping out. So
yeah, we have to recognize a lot of the fans. They come to the same shows often, even in different cities. We had a Piss Jug Mike. Rest in peace. What were your thoughts of the fans that you definitely see? City.
Listen, we have the bet. Like, I know I'm in Philadelphia, so we like to say how great our fans are as sports fans, and me being one of them. But like, no, GCW has some of the most loyal, rabid, and wonderful fans. And one cool, like a really cool thing about this year that I've been reflecting on a little bit this last week of the year is that because of the travel, I've been able to interact with fans a lot more, like yourself. And a lot of the other folks that like I didn't get a chance to meet, and it was cool because I guess they saw me when it was more geographical, and they said, oh, he's refereeing in Atlantic City or wherever it might have been that I could get to. And now being able to go to LA every 2 months, and our LA fans are awesome, and meeting them and getting to interact with them. And they're the best. And like, I think the magic of GCW and why it's so fun, especially as a live experience. And I tell everybody, even my like non-wrestling fan friends, like, come to a show. I guarantee you'll have a good time. Like the live experience is special. It's different. So, they make it like we're not, GCW is not what GCW is without our fans. So, they really, they're loyal, they're in tune, they want to have a good time. They're not looking for when you mess up. They're not looking, they're not trying to be smarter than you. They're there to have a good time. And that really, I think, is the atmosphere that we try to produce, and the fans are able to help us do that. So we're incredibly grateful for the fans, and happy I've gotten to meet and interact with a lot of them over this last year.
Is it crazy internationally now? The fans know what GCW is? Like, is that crazy?
Yeah.
Crazy
So I haven't. Yeah. So Scarlett, she's awesome. She's been able to do almost all of our international tours. So kudos to her, and she probably sees it on a different record. I got to do Canada, Mexico, and then Japan. But Japan, yeah, I mean, we're known, and they're just as loyal, and they're just as excited. Now Japan, obviously Japanese fans are a little more subdued and a little bit, that's the culture there. But you can tell that they're just as excited as anybody else would be that they're there, that we're there, I should say. And that was one of my favorite thing about the Japan tour was the people, meeting and interacting with the people. Perch and Scarlett had been able to do tours before that of Japan, and they had said like, you're gonna love meeting those people, and they were great. I'd tell this story. I was checking my bag to go home,
Right.
in the Tokyo airport, and a fan came up and had my trading card from the spring break trading card
Right.
pack this year and asked me to sign it and get a picture. And I was like, all right, Adam, if you're ever having a bad day, like someone across the planet wanted your autograph that day, and that was very humbling, extremely
Nice.
humbling. And yeah, it just goes to show that like our reach and our appeal is there, and it's again, it's appreciated. We're not anything without our fans. So it's a
Mhm.
really appreciated.
And recently, you found yourself officiating the main event of Highest in the Room. It was the GCW show that was like a primary GCW show. You guys had the holiday show afterwards, but being there with Andrade and Janela, two great professionals, two great veterans. How was that for you? Was that the first time you worked with Andrade as well?
It was, yeah. So
Okay.
that was really exciting for me. Obviously when we announced that Andrade was coming to work with us, that's always very exciting. And we've got a lot of really great wrestlers coming through soon. That it's going to be a really exciting year.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was my first time working with him, and it was great. It was and you want to work with those caliber of athletes and pros, and as a referee, see where I am. Am I matching
Mhm.
up to that intensity and that level? And that's someone who's done it all. And
Right.
so for me, with positioning and camera work and communication, like, am I up to snub where I need to be? And fortunately, that seemed to be the case that I was. But so whenever we get the opportunity to work with those folks that have been there, it's a really great opportunity. So it was really exciting. It went well, and I'm happy we'll be having Andrade back in Chicago and in
Right.
Tampa. And I think it goes to show again, like what we've been talking about, that GCW's appeal and its reach is out there, and that's why quality professional wrestlers like Andrade and Mustafa Ali's coming in, and
Mhm.
then guys like Jonathan Gresham have been with us but are coming back, and then not to mention our stellar roster that we're usually always carrying with, like, they want to come work there for a reason. So it's exciting. And yeah, that was definitely a high point at the near the end of this year. That was definitely a high point, was working that match.
Yeah, congrats on that. And
Thank you.
if an assignment changes, let's say our opponent drops off or can't make it, and does that affect your preparation for the match you yourself are officiating? Is that, oh, we have to drop off, this guy couldn't make it, so we have to make this a triple threat or something like that?
Yeah, so it happens, yeah, or we have to move matches around
Right.
in the order. And I do put a lot of thought into the match assignments and the referee assignments. So sometimes I think too much thought, but then I'm always told by my peers that they appreciate the thought I put into it. So I do appreciate that. But nothing we can't handle, like,
Right.
it happens. And the beautiful thing is that we've had a consistent crew of referees right now. So, like, between Perch, Recon, Scarlett, Chad Rico, we got a really good crew. So if we have to move things around, it's never really too much of a concern. It's just a matter of communicating it properly,
Mhm.
and making sure everyone's aware of the change or the change that might be occurring. But we get through it. No, we nothing we can't handle. It may be a little stressful in that moment, but it's like, all right, that's what we got to do. We're calling an audible, or we had to make a change. Let's make sure everyone who needs to know knows, and
Right.
then we keep doing what we got to do.
Definitely. And you run into that, but it seems like you're able to make that adjustment and the show still goes off a hitch. Like, I think Ego Robert Anthony, he filled in for one time, and then one time his opponent dropped off. So, talking about how you could, utilize him in that role.
Yeah, it's great, and that is the truth, right? Like, when that happens, there's opportunity for others to step in,
Mhm.
and it's great, and that you never know. That's how independent wrestling works. Flight delays, things happen, people get sick, whatever it may be, and fortunately, Brett is able to quick, he moves and works quickly, and we're able to fix things up the way they need to be. And yeah, hopefully it's a great opportunity for another professional wrestler to get that chance to work with GCW or come back to GCW or whatever it may be.
Yes, for sure, man. It was like something like, to me, like right off a TV show sometimes, where you see like
Yeah.
somebody that's not supposed to be there and they pop up. It's like
Yeah, it
great
adds to
television
the
too.
definitely adds to the drama of the show and
Yeah.
unpredictability of it. And everybody loves that in pro wrestling, right? I mean, we always love surprise appearances, or card subject to change. Card subject
Yes.
to change. It's on there for a reason.
For sure. And then, the NGI8, talk about being a part of this event. The matches announced so far. I don't know if you're sure which ones you're going to be officiating, but just the matches announced so far. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. No, not aware of what we usually don't know the lineup till the
Okay.
day of. So I have like an idea of some, where we might be with assignments, but until we have the card right in front of us, it's always
Sure.
hard to figure that out. But no, I'm super excited. I think there's a lot of new faces,
Mhm.
which is exciting. International talent coming through. Jacob Fatu, I think, is incredible. To see
Yeah.
him in a deathmatch environment, it is kind of horrifying, but in an exciting way, to see what Fatu might be, able and willing to do. But no, I mean, I've said the NGI is, I did 6 and 7, and I remember, 6 was the last two. They've been really intense, like super
Yeah.
intense, like just like deathmatch fighting spirit, like intensity to an all new level. And I look at this year's field, and I see that's going to be
Yeah.
another repeat of like big time intensity. And we're doing it in front of the Atlantic City faithful. And I know Chicago's bummed out. That's sometimes how things work out. And I'm
Right.
sure Chicago will, they're getting an amazing card
Yeah.
come January 12th. But I'm really excited. I think it's going to be good stuff. I think the matchups are intriguing. We'll see what happens. And I have no clue who could win. I think anybody
Yeah.
could honestly come out of that with the win. So we'll see what happens, and then the winner gets to face Blake the next day for the championship, which is also pretty exciting. So I think it's gonna be an awesome weekend. Really looking forward to it. Got to make sure we're prepared. Um,
Yes.
Deathmatch wrestling brings a lot of variables, and as referees, we have to be ready to be wear a lot of hats and do a lot of things. So it's going to be
Right.
tiring and exhausting, but it's going to be exciting. And we're getting ready now to get prepared for everything, coordinating travel to getting there, coordinating, what we need supplies wise, all those type of things to be ready for a big weekend.
Yeah, I think most fans they would love to be the official to be in the ring that close, but I think most of them would want to wear like a facial facial mask
Yeah, sometimes I
or
get,
riot gear or
yeah,
something.
yeah. I love when sometimes the fans will say, I'll shy away to protect myself, and
Yeah,
they might call me a wuss, but it's like, listen, dude. I mean,
yeah,
everything they're doing there is as real as it gets. So I got to protect myself. So,
yeah,
um, and
definitely.
I give them a lot of credit for that. Yeah, it's yeah. There's an adrenaline rush. There's a level there with deathmatch wrestling, and yeah, that's what we'll be bringing in for this
Yeah,
weekend.
for sure. The last champion was crowned was John Wayne Murdoch, and I'm rooting for him again to win it. He actually wore my shirt throughout the whole tournament last
That's
year.
right. He did. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's right.
I still have it too.
Do you?
So
Awesome. Yeah, I hope.
yeah,
Yeah, I hope it's framed up nicely. But yeah, and
yeah,
boxed up. Yeah, that was a brutal one. Again, the intensity of deathmatch tournaments. They're a special level of brutality, intensity, and high drama. And yeah, I think it's an exciting field, like I said, and we'll to see what happens. So make sure
yeah.
everybody's watching, listening. Make sure you tune in. So
Oh yeah,
this Saturday, 6 p.m. Triller TV, formerly Fight TV, Fight Plus or Triller TV Plus, I should say, for
yes.
$7.99. It's a great value. So
It is. And you've got, of course, we mentioned Jersey Championship Wrestling, GCW Aftermath. So talk about a loaded weekend. I mean, how much fun is this? But how much fatigue will you feel like you're anticipating over
yeah,
time?
no, it's going to be fun. But like I said, well, I'm sometimes a little uptight or a little like
Right.
high stress throughout the shows. But that's just again kind of how I am. But it's coming from a good place, and then hopefully when it's all said and done, we're good. And obviously, the danger level is high for this weekend, so we want to make sure everyone comes out of it okay,
Right.
and safe, and that will be our biggest priority within the best we can do. I mean,
Sure.
they're warriors, and they leave it all out there, and so that'll be your biggest thing. But I mean, so it's a lot. Yeah, it will be exhausting in that way. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. We have a great team that will be there. Like I said, not just our referee team, but Atlantic City. We have a lot of our great helpers and guys that help us with so many things, from ring crew to cleanup to the weapons for that stuff. Like, we have our all-star crew. So, I anticipate it will go very smoothly. The last weekend we had with the Art of War games and everything went incredibly smoothly. Shout out to our production team too, who's also gotten consistently better, led by Jonathan Ash and the GoPro crew. Like, as we've been able to travel together and as we've had more consistent referees, more consistent production crew, like it just makes everything easier in the long run.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm anticipating. It's going to be a great weekend. And then, yeah, at the end of it, Happy New Year. And we're rolling into 2024.
Right. You have a couple weeks before you head to Chicago. I think it's the first event of the year, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, first event for me. I do have the first weekend off of January, and I'm not complaining. I think it'll be good for me to continue to get just things organized and get
Sure.
myself organized going into the new year.
For sure, man. Are you going to do any T-shirts? Perch has a shirt he sells for charity, anything like that on the
Yeah,
horizon?
no, not yet. Not, I say yet. I don't know. I've never been really that type of guy. I've been like try to just
Yeah,
be a referee and that's my role. But again, and I know Perch has kind of the similar mindset, but he was able to do it for charity,
yeah,
which is great. And I've thought about that, at times. So we'll see. I never say
yeah.
never, but not at this moment. I'll wait out. I have had people ask, or so we'll see. Maybe at some point, but I just try to make sure I'm doing what I'm doing, and we put over
Yeah,
the talent, and I'm
for
just there.
sure.
So.
Yeah, yeah. The last freelance show I went to, one of the referees, I won't name him, but not Perch, because actually it's Perch's birthday. He was working with you guys at GCW, but he had
Yes.
his own table set up and everything. I thought it was pretty cool. He actually
Hey,
does like
listen. Yeah,
like stuff on the side. Yeah,
I'm not gonna knock it, because if it's a way you can make money and extra income, and you
yeah.
got to do what you got to do. Fortunately, I work, I work a full time job, so.
Hmm.
But I think if things were different, I'd probably be hawking a lot of merch if I had to,
Yeah,
and help pay what we got to do. So, but yeah, it's something sometimes we think about, but not yet. We'll see.
I got you. For sure. And talk about GCW and AEW. You guys are kind of involved together, right? Not officially, but we see like Kota Ibushi. He's a current AEW wrestler now, but he was part of the GCW events in Los Angeles, part of WrestleMania weekend. So you feel like, do they utilize GCW to gauge where they're at, maybe to gauge themselves of American audience or anything like that?
I would think probably yes, but I can't say anything officially, and
Sure.
I don't deal with any you know booking decisions or how any of
Right.
that works. So, and I know that we've been able to utilize AEW talent throughout the since AEW's been around, which has been great, and I think it is kind of a barometer. I mean, I think the independents are flourishing again fully out of COVID. I think this last year showed that. I mean, you have a lot of really strong independent companies doing a lot of things, and being able to work with AEW talent and kind of showing that there's a lot out there, there's a lot of opportunity. So I think they have to be looking and checking in and seeing what's going on. And I do think what GCW has done for a while now, even before I was with them, is kind of set the standard for what I think we've been ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. Like,
Mhm.
something's trendy or something's catching on, like it may have happened in GCW 3 6 months, maybe a year before that, and or
Right.
just kind of laying the foundation for what you see a lot on television now, kind of like ECW did back,
Mhm.
you know 20 25 years ago. So, yeah, I think that's kind of what we're still doing in that way. And then in terms of the talent, like, it's fortunate for us, like I said, being able to work with somebody like Andrade. I think that makes the independent stronger. I think it brings more eyes to it. I think it's just good for the entire pro wrestling industry, for things like that, for those crossovers and those talent to be able to work those shows. And because you see that in the main event and you think, okay, I'm going to show up to this show. Maybe I haven't been to a GCW show yet, but I want
Right.
to see Andrade. And then you see the rest of that card, you see the rest of the action. You go, I didn't know this was going on. Maybe fairly close to where I live, and now I'm not going to miss another show. We hope for that, and that's good for all of us. That's
For
good for
sure.
everybody who's a part of the pro wrestling industry, and hopefully we all just continue to flourish and be successful. And so that's kind of my way around. But I don't know too much on that way of like
Right.
booking decisions or how the talent with
Sure.
that works. Don't have too much in that.
Yeah, it's also pretty nice you guys are acknowledged by WWE on a rare
Yeah,
occasion.
Yeah, from time to time, for sure. You know, it's again, it's just it's a really good time for pro wrestling right now. It's exciting, right? It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So the fans are the true winners, and I think us as talent, from referee to production to the wrestlers themselves, opportunities abound. So just trying to make the best of it.
definitely. And talk about, do you have an insane match that you officiated and why? It may not have been like a death match. It just might have been just a match of a lot of participants, or it was just like maybe so many things, run-ins were happening, throughout
Well,
the matchup.
I'll say the most difficult match I've refed, which I know you said it didn't have to be a death match, but the Art of War Games matches are really hard.
Okay.
And the last one we did, they're tough because so that one and the one last year in Chicago, they all well, I did all three of them so far that we've done, but the last two have been pretty crazy and very difficult to referee because you know you have to be aware of your positioning at all time as a referee for the cameras and things of that nature. But when you're in a cage and it's a death match, so you need to make sure you're also protecting the participants.
Mhm.
So, and we only have that little ledge in between the two rings to dump everything out,
Right.
especially the tubes and everything. So when you're limited to only that space, and then there's so much going on, and there's so many combatants, and it's just there. It's really difficult to stay out of the way, which a
Right.
referee must do. And it's really hard to communicate to everyone because there's stuff going on between two rings. There, yeah. So that's, I mean, we've made it, we've gotten through them. But I would, say that it's easily the most difficult matches that I've refereed in my career, and for a lot of the reasons you were kind of alluding to. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know that one match with, I believe, was it Joey Janela and Jeff Jarrett? They had like a lot of interference running through that one. Yeah.
yes, yeah, I didn't have that match. The legendary Mike Keener had that match. Shout out to Mike. He's was an ECW official.
Mhm.
So he was with us in Hammerstein. Has worked with GCW a few times. Works for MCW Maryland Championship Wrestling regularly. He's a great guy, great referee, and a legendary
Mhm.
referee who's been helpful to me in a lot. So he got to ref that one. So that was a tough assignment for Mike, but Mike's the man, and it's nothing he hasn't dealt with before. So.
Definitely. Yeah, and locker rooms, I feel like in GCW, you got locker rooms that are once in a lifetime. Is there a particular locker room that has the most significance to you, and why?
Well, I think right now the GCW locker room that we have going, yeah,
Mhm.
consistently. We obviously have our like consistent bunch, and then there's people in and out at times. But I think this crew that we've been traveling with over the last year and a half, like it has a family atmosphere. I think it's competitive. I think that the guys and girls are pushing each other
Mhm.
to be better. I think the influence of someone like Matt Cardona coming in and what he does so well to market himself, but also market us in that by proxy.
Yeah.
Nick Gage, who's a leader in a lot of ways of like really making sure everyone's working hard, and then young guys like Jordan Oliver. We have a real mix, and it's good right now. It has been as far as I've been there. From my perspective as a referee, right? I don't, for what I have to worry about, and I think we have a lot of good stuff going right now, and a good locker room that yeah, is pushing themselves and pushing each other, and then also kind of being there for each other, especially in the fact that we're traveling together and
Yeah.
and doing a lot of that around the country. It's pretty unique, and as we're doing it, I don't think we always know like, wow, this is pretty unique. But in reflecting on
Yeah.
it as we wrap up this year, yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. Is there like a new venue you go to and you're just like, oh, I'm not sure how quite this is going to work, but then it turned out to be a lot better than you thought it would be? Like a new venue you visited recently?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I don't. Yeah, it's always tough because we don't see the venues. Rarely do we see the venue before we arrive for the show. But fortunately, Brett's really good at that because he has
Sure.
seen the venue and kind of gives me the lay of the land and lets me know what I need to know. Um, when we did the Perch will love this story. We talk about it often. Doing the La Pica Lounge in Wisconsin, which we did last November, I think. I think
Yeah.
November of 22. That was that was tough. That was like the ring was tough. It's like the smallest like ever. There's not a locker room. There is a box is like is not a very big space. That was a unique experience. That was one where I was like, we walked in and I'm like, how are we going to do this? But sure enough, we did. And I said, that was fun. I don't think we ever need to do that again. But so not saying we don't need to go back to Wisconsin. I'd be happy to go back to Wisconsin. Just in a bigger venue. That's all. So that was definitely a big challenge. And I know if Perch gets, I'm sure Perch will watch this and he'd be laughing right now because we talk about that one a lot. The Lapika Lounge and how we were able to somehow get through that show. That was a funny one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there, and I was just like, wow, this is such a small place, and the wrestlers are in the bar. There's just no locker room, so a lot of them were just chilling in the bar after the matches and stuff.
Crazy. There was really no locker room at all. It was wild, and I had Mance Warner and Murdoch for that Type A deathmatch. That was one of the craziest matches I've ever reffed too in that room. So wild.
Yeah, very little space to confine that violent action. Now, can you talk about when we talk about venues also, talk about like the guardrails? There is no guardrails at AE and GCW. Would you is there anyone that works, in the officiating crew that would like to have these because of the matches happening outside the ring? Is this a precaution or is it out of tradition or maybe cost efficient that you don't have them?
I think it's a matter of just like the GCW style being kind of outlaw, and then like independent wrestling, you don't always see guardrails. And I think it's that anticipation of being like closer to the ring and what you need to do. But fortunately, in some New York, we usually do, which is nice. Yeah, when we do have them, I am happy when they're there. No, yeah, definitely. It's nice. But then wrestlers often throw themselves into them, throw each other into them, which is sometimes then concerning for the fan behind the said guardrail. But we no, I don't get too caught up with not having them either. I think we have down what we have down. Fortunately, if you've asked when the action gets close to the front row, us as officials and security try to make sure that fans are okay. And I think again, alluding to what I said earlier about how great our fans are, I think they know what they sign up for. Because often when I'm like, "Hey, are you okay?" They're like, "Yeah, we love this. Like, we love how close the action is. We love how this person just fell into my lap." Which is we're fortunate for that. But I think our fans understand the product and they understand what they're going to attend live, and they buy the front row ticket for a reason. But I'm still paranoid and stressed out, and always want to make sure everybody's okay. But that's great. It's always a little bit of that. Reassurance that they know what they're on. But guardrail, no guardrail, we make it work. I don't think any of us stress out too much about it.
That's good. And then, fans in Chicago, they love GCW. You talk about what you offer because there's fans from IWA Mid-South, the king of the death matches. They love your product when you bring death matches to GCW, just like the Nick Gage Invitational. Then the Lucha Libre aspect of it. You have the Lucha Libre fans in Chicago. They love the Lucha Libre action. And what you guys bring is amazing, the combination of all that.
Yeah, we're a variety show, right? We're a variety show. And I think it's we have a lot of influences in our roster and from what we grew up on. Like I grew up on Ring of Honor. I'm a Philly kid. I attended Ring of Honor shows in 2003. That was my introduction to independent wrestling. And then, discovered Combat Zone Wrestling later too. It was around. And like, I think you can see a lot of those influences in what we do. Like, and it's very much a variety show. You can go to GCW and you can see, you can see a crazy hardcore match. You will see some of the best luchadors that the world has to offer. You will see strong style, submission, technical based wrestling. You'll see high flying. You'll see intergender. You'll see tag matches. You'll see tag matches with rules. You'll see tag matches without any rules. You'll see a little bit of everything. You'll laugh. You may cry. You'll have a range of emotions. You'll have a great time, and I think that's what we do well. And I don't know if like what we do well is good for all of wrestling. I really don't. Like I can't say that, but it works for us. And again, I think with our fan base, they understand what's there. And I think it's a concert atmosphere, it's a party atmosphere, I think, and because of that, it's like, hey, you're going to see a little bit of everything today, and that's why it works.
For sure. And then, can you talk about communicating with wrestlers through language barriers? How do you get around that?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. So fortunately, you just kind of, we've had to do a lot of that over the year, because when you walk through our locker room, you're going to hear Spanish, Japanese, English. You're going to hear different accents. There's people from all over the country, all over the world. So fortunately, luchadors, you can build you figure out a few things. Fortunately, we have Gringo Loco, who is bilingual, and other folks that can help us with that. But Perch was incredibly helpful, because Perch worked a lot of lucha shows in his area. He's out of Milwaukee, so in Chicago and Milwaukee, worked a lot of lucha shows. So he was able to give me some
Yeah.
key words and key ways to communicate with the luchadors. That was incredibly helpful. And then the Japanese, technology is great, right? Like, you can type things into your phone, figure things out, and there's that understanding of how you can check on them and understand what they need to do. And it really is a testament to the talent of our Japanese and our luchadors, that like sometimes I'm amazed, like the fact that this person doesn't speak any English, this person doesn't speak any Japanese or Spanish,
Yeah.
and then they go have a killer match. And I, we try to help the best we can as referees with that, but sometimes you also just have to know, I'm going to know everything I need to know. And then I'm going to be in there where I can support them the best I can. But I think we're pros, man. We work with
Mhm.
pros, and they're pros, and language barrier be damned. Like, they're able to pull out really great matches and work together properly. So, but it is something I think all of us as referees would like to learn more Spanish, learn a little bit more Japanese. It's difficult,
Mhm.
especially in the midst of like having other life duties. But we definitely would like to learn more and know more so that we can do a better job.
Yeah.
And not that we're not doing a good job, but just do a better job, because we always want to try to strive to get better and do a better job of being there for our talent.
For sure. And then, talk about the location for the next collective, Philadelphia. I'm excited for that. Maybe some of the hardcore legends from ECW being a part of GCW. We've seen them come before. Could that be a possibility?
I'd never say never. I think we may see everything and anything at this collective. The fact that it's in Philadelphia, obviously, I'm excited. Being in my hometown, and what wrestling has meant to me, and meant to me, and Philly means a lot to me too. I'm very Philly proud, and I'm very proud of wrestling. So, like, very excited for this collective, for this WrestleMania week. I'm happy that the spotlight will be on this city, and I'm happy for what that can present. And as far as, to answer your question more directly, I think we'll see. Who knows? I'm not saying I know anything. I don't know anything,
Right.
but I think we could see. Yeah, we're going to see some cool stuff. We're probably going to see, a lot of different faces. New York's only 2 hours away.
Mhm.
Maryland, DC, only 2 hours away. You know, we're very much driving distance. So, like, everyone's going to be coming to this center point, and I think we're going to see a whole lot that's going on, for this year's collective. And I think the lineup's supposed to be announced this week. I think I saw
Mhm.
that on Twitter yesterday, or X. So I'm excited, because I don't know. Again, I don't know the lineup, but I'm very excited to see what we have in store for the collective this year in my hometown.
For sure. And talk about my last question. Talk about someone that wants to be in professional wrestling. What would you have to say to them? Do you currently help out at any schools or do any kind of
Yeah,
seminar training?
so yeah, I train when I can. I wish I could do it more, at the Worldwide Dojo, in Bristol, Pennsylvania, which is just about 20 minutes north of me here in Philly. And I with Cheeseburger is the head trainer.
Okay.
And I've been training there when I can for the last 5 years or so, which I'm internally grateful for Cheeseburger, for him allowing me to have an open door there. And I've been able to help some referees recently in the last year. I wish I could. I wish I was doing a better job and getting there more consistently to work with them a little bit more. But as I mentioned, I work a full time job on top of everything else. So I wish I could be doing it more, and I'm going to try to do it more in the new year. But so I do that, and I am trying to also, in our travels, I've been able to meet a lot of younger referees, and it's tough because right now we don't have a ton of opportunities in our referee
Right.
crew. Like, over this last year, we've kind of established, our folks. And so I wish I could be giving more opportunity at times for referees, but it's been great that I've had an opportunity to start like watching matches and helping critique and work with them on that. And like, it's very humbling for me to think that I could be in a position to do that. And it is fun to do that, and it's rewarding. Again, I wish I sometimes had more time, or sometimes someone will send me something like 6 months ago, and I'll be like, I got to get on that. I got to get on that. So
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, over the holidays, I've had some extra time with some
Sure.
time off to be able to do that. So that's been exciting. But in terms of like advice, I know for me, I wanted to be a wrestler growing up. Like I had no aspirations of being a referee. I didn't pay much attention to them, like most don't, which is
Mm-hmm.
honestly a good thing. Like that's not our job is to be paid attention to, but we always appreciate it when we are, of course. But then I just kind of fell out of the idea that I would be a wrestler, and I went to college,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of was going down a route of like living a more living that kind of life of just like getting a job and going through, and then but I never stopped loving wrestling. I just didn't think I was going to be in it. And then when I graduated college, um, there were some opportunities, and one of my closest friends who grew up with me and did want to be a wrestler did become a wrestler, and
Mm-hmm.
he followed the dream, and he was running things in South Jersey at his school, at the school he was at. And I just wanted to get involved, and I did commentary, I did ring announcing, I did refereeing, and then sure enough, one thing stuck. And then, like I said earlier to start off the interview, like for the first few years, I was coaching high school wrestling at where I worked. I had other interests, I had other things going on,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it when I could. And then before you know it, here I am, having traveled the world this year doing it, years
Nice.
later. So my advice is that your dream can adjust, and sometimes just recognize where your role may be, where you may be best suited for your role. I know that like physically, I could have been probably like a wrestler and done some cool things maybe, but I think knowing my personality, I think I was slotted looking back in the right role as a referee. I think it's a perfect role for my personality and who I am as a person. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I didn't know that 10 years ago. I didn't know that 7 years ago. I think 5 years ago it kind of clicked, and then you figure it out over time. And I think for you know for young, like for me, I think something that's been helpful is
Yeah.
having um consistent work outside of wrestling to make more opportunities abound. It's always good to have like the backup,
Mm-hmm.
and because it kind of makes you not as stressed about everything in wrestling if that's your
Sure.
main sense of income. And then you can kind of sometimes invest in yourself early on to the point where then you don't need to worry about that because you are in a good position. And then for referees, if there's young referees that are listening, or just get your reps, do everything you can. Like 2019 was a year that I had a goal of just like doing anything and everything. And I wanted to and that was what I was just trying to ref as much as possible, and try to do that early on. And then opportunities will come, and keep your mouth shut and your ears open, work
Mm-hmm.
hard, do what you can to help out. If you're a referee or not a wrestler, like be willing to do any job that you may be capable of doing, and keep yourself valuable. And just keep working at it if you really want it. And it's tough, it's not easy,
Yeah.
but it's fun. Like I said, it can be a lot of fun. And this crazy wrestling business that we're in, it can be a lot of fun and be really rewarding. Just gotta kind of keep at it. So
Yeah, definitely. Just like Perch said, everybody has a role. When I've done interviews or just
yeah,
talked to them one on one, everybody has a role in this, and we all need each other to. The camera person, the person who takes tickets, the person who takes down the
yeah,
ring, is up the ring, to the wrestlers, the
it's a
referees,
team.
right?
It's a team, right?
Yeah.
Just like any sport, any team sport, everyone has their positions and their roles and their strengths and their weaknesses. And yeah, we're very much a team right now. And anywhere that you go as a local promotion, local school, find what can be your role, and try to do that to the very best. And then that, make it a priority if you truly want it, and then
Right.
that things will start to fall into place.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you, Adam, being on PWE. Appreciate for your time, man. And let everybody know how to follow you and anything like that. Go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Sean. I hope I wasn't too long winded. I know sometimes I
No,
do.
you're great.
Yeah, I thank you for having me. I'm glad I was able to do this. Like I said, trying to find some more time to do things like this. You can follow me Instagram, Ref Adam Gault, on X at Ref Adam Gault. My Facebook isn't kind of, don't bother with Facebook. It's
Right.
kind of like, yeah, personal, private, but then it's not at the same time. So I get a lot of friend requests, and it is what it is. So Instagram and Twitter would be the best place to follow me. And then I'm always retweeting what I'm a part of and what we have going on. And yeah, happy to interact with folks on those two platforms.
Anybody going to Philadelphia, where do you recommend them eating?
Yes, love that question. I love cheesesteak discourse. I love like telling people where to go in Philly. Perch will tell you I've given Perch and I have done many stops at different sandwich spots to get something to eat here in Philadelphia. We are a very good food city. Chicago is as well. So like
Yeah.
I love Chicago, like I said earlier, and checking out some of those. So I'd recommend for cheesesteaks, Angelo's, which is in South Philly. They have really good pizza too, really good pizza, but also really good cheesesteak, good Italian hoagies and sandwiches. John's Roast Pork is also a really good place, which is really close to the 2300 ECW arena and won't be
Yeah.
far from where we are for the collective. So they have a great roast pork sandwich because it's John's roast pork, but they also have a really good cheesesteak as well. Yeah, so I'll go with those two. They're like two of my favorites, top one and two. But there's a lot of really good food in this city. Again, I'm really excited for everybody to come here in April and see what we have to offer. Not just, culturally as a city. I'm really looking forward to it. So if anybody wants recommendations, I'm always happy to give them out. It's a lot
For
of fun.
sure. Yeah, for those going to GCW at Thalia Hall, I guess I'll recommend Coyotes.
Okay,
Coyotes?
Coyotes. Is that
Yeah.
tacos or is that
Mexican, yeah. It's good,
Mexican? Okay.
affordable too. It's like it's open late too. It's open like almost 24 hours.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I remind me, text me that because
I
I'll
will.
remember that for the 12th. Yeah, I love Mexican. We went to a taco spot, I think after last time, but I don't think it was as close to Talia Hall, so we might have a little bit different. And then we
Yeah.
checked out Mr. Beef last time we were there, which
Nice.
was really good. That's a lot of fun with the traveling. It's like we try to do like, with you don't always get a ton of time, right? Like it's like quick.
Right.
You have to do the show, yeah, especially if we're doing one of the loops. So, try to get like a cool food spot that's kind of touristy, and then try to maybe see like one touristy thing quickly in passing, and then, and that kind of makes it worthwhile and makes it a lot of fun. So,
For sure. Adam, I appreciate you being on PWE Report once again. And before I let you go, would like to have you on for a quick shout out. So I was going to end this video and record another one.
okay,
But I'm just
sounds
going
good.
to tell everybody
Thank you,
check
Sean.
out GCW this weekend. Nick Gage Invitational 8 Aftermath. If you're in town in Atlantic City, get your tickets now
Yeah,
because they'll be
tickets are
sold
still
out.
available.
Yep, and watch it on Thriller Plus as well. All right, great. I'm just going to end this one and start a new one. Oh, recording.